You are so welcome to the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, your host, a certified executive coach, an award-winning leadership consultant, a global speaker and author, the CEO of Inspired Leaders International and the Provincial Fathers Union President. What a privilege to have you today as we have this program. I will say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are watching us from around the world. Today we are focusing on a very critical issue that concerns us as parents, that concerns us as men, as fathers, but also as women, as mothers in our homes. We are talking about an issue that should concern schools and educational leaders. We are talking about something that every person in politics and governance should pay attention to and give serious consideration. Today, we are talking about the role of parents and teachers in teenage upbringing. We have different children in our families, in our homes. Some are babies, toddlers. Others are, they have gotten into adolescence. They have gotten into the season of puberty. They are teenagers from 13 to 19, the teen ages. We have young adults, youth, young adults, and so on and so forth. Today we want to focus our torch on the teenagers particularly. And to be specific, what the role of their parents and their teachers actually is in raising them to be responsible citizens of this global village. And to have this conversation with me in the studio is none other than somebody I've known for the last about 17 years. A teacher by profession, as he is about to tell you, and also a parent. And that qualifies him to be the person to come here today to talk about the role of parents and teachers in teenage upbringing. None other than teacher Fred Tumusiime. My brother, you're welcome.
Thank you, brother.
How are you doing?
Very wonderful.
It's been quite some time since we last met, since we last had a chat.
Certainly, but by the grace of God,
yes,
here we are.
Great, good to see you.
Me too.
What have you been doing?
Well, a lot. Building the nation.
Indeed. On that matter, therefore, would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers? Let us briefly know something about you, your work, your family, as we begin our program today.
Well, thank you, Brother Samuel. Good evening, our dear viewers. I am Fred Tumusiime, a teacher by training and profession. Actually, those I've taught codenamed me TFT for Fred Tumusiime. Tumusiime Fred Tumusiime. I'm a family man, like I said, married to a female, Eunice Kesime Tumusiime, and by the grace of God, we are blessed with 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, biological.
That's some serious gender balance in the family.
I'm telling you, God does real gender balance. But with 2 others in our house, so we are a real family.
Yes.
And by the grace of God, we are moving on.
Oh, great. It's good to have you here. Is Eunice watching? Did you let her get to know that you...
I imagine she should be watching,
okay.
But if not, I know the boys are there listening and watching.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Eunice, in case you are watching us, we send you special greetings together with your children if they are there watching. So, you are called Teacher Fred.
Fred Tumusiime.
TFT.
That's the...
Tell us about that aspect of your life, the teacher aspect of your life. What kind of a teacher? Are you a teacher of primary school? Are you a teacher of secondary school? Are you a teacher at the university, a lecturer? And what do you teach? And where have you taught? Just briefly.
Thank you very much. I'm a teacher of English language and literature.
Okay. You're the people who were always telling us about Chinua Achebe, Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
Yes, certainly. Unfortunately, not a science teacher, but a teacher of English language and literature, and general paper.
Only those who are in Uganda will understand why you said, unfortunately, you are not a teacher of science. Those outside Uganda won't understand, but it's okay.
The word is actually not in a negative sense.
Oh, I know.
Yes, we take pride in who we are.
Yes.
A teacher of English literature, like I've said, and by the grace of God, for the last 17 or so years, I've had to go through schools like Entire School.
Okay, you've been a teacher at Entire School. In
Southwestern Uganda, Mbarara to be specific.
Yes.
Mengo Secondary School. I started from 2009.
Kampala.
Standard College in Tungamo.
Okay.
Uganda Matters SS Namugongo.
Yes.
Namirembe Hillside.
Okay.
All those.
Oh.
However, along the way, God has given us callings along the way. I'm a coach, a counselor, and an M&E fellow.
Okay.
Do strategic planning, counseling. But most importantly, along with education, I'm a partner counselor at MPEC, Model Parenting and Education Consult.
Okay, Model Parenting
and Education Consult. So it has two aspects of parenting and education.
Okay.
So we bring them together as we shall later on.
All right.
Yes.
Great. It's really good to have you today to host you on this program.
Brother.
And I believe that the conversation we are going to have is going to equip our viewers to be able to raise up their own teenagers in a way that will make them very responsible leaders in our country and beyond.
Yes.
So this is a program on family leadership.
Yes,
it's called the Inspired Family Leader Program.
Yes.
So it's a leadership program.
Yes.
It focuses on leading the family first and foremost. So, in your own view, what would you say family leadership is? Just in your words, define for us family leadership.
Thank you very much. When we talk of family, actually there are two words involved. Family.
You're going into the etymology of words.
Yes, we need to break it down. Family and then leadership.
Yes.
And leadership comes from leading, and there must be a leader. So, we are looking at taking responsibility into the direct. And when we talk of taking responsibility, whereas there will be partnering in responsibility, it shoulders the responsibility to a man.
Okay.
I'm now
the primary
directing my definition to a man.
Yes.
So when we talk of family leadership, basically we are addressing a man.
Okay.
God was very clear. God was and is clear with his word. Man is the head of the family. So that's where leadership is. And our talk centers basically on man, though he gives us
let me open the Pandora box a little bit.
Yes, please.
So what about families that have no man in them? Don't they have leadership?
They do.
You find the mother is the leader actually of the family.
When the man is there or when he's not there?
Well, I said when the man is not there.
When the man is not there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a different case.
Okay, so we are talking about under normal circumstances, the man is the head of the family.
There are those rare cases. No, not actually rare cases, those other special cases.
All right.
And God also determines that. I am using the word God because we do all we do because of that.
I'm hearing you. So in other words, putting it all together, you're saying family leadership is the ability of the man to take responsibility over his family.
Yes.
Beautiful, precise, I love it. Taking responsibility.
Yes.
Indeed. So let's get back to our topic now, which is the role of parents and teachers in the upbringing of teenagers. Now, what are some of the challenges that the teenagers today face around us?
Thank you. Even before we even look at the challenges, there is an aspect of relationship. When you talk of teenagers and then upbringing, we have parents, we have teachers. By implication, the two must be in line.
We will reach.
Why do we bring them there? So the challenge is, should we not take responsibility? Should we not go by our expected and stipulated role as parents, as teachers? We shall be where we are as a society.
And just to make clear this important disclaimer, friends, we are not saying that teenagers are brought up by only parents and teachers. No.
Yes.
In fact, in the African society, we have often known that a child is raised by a whole village. That used to be so until everybody went to the city. There is no village to raise the children. But what we are saying is that today we want to focus particularly on the role of the parents and the teachers. There are other people that contribute to the upbringing of the children. There could be relatives. There could be government officials, there could be community members, and so on and so forth. But this evening, we are focusing on parents and teachers. So just for clarity, it's not only the parents and teachers that bring up the teenagers, but today we are focusing on basically those two. So what are some of the challenges that the teenagers are experiencing nowadays?
Number one is technology.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about yesteryears, where parenting and upbringing of us children, you and I, the way we were brought up, was communal. Today it's a different case.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are now thrown into the era of technology. And whereas technology is good,
Yeah, it's really good.
it comes with a package and variety of items, which are both positive and negatives.
Yes.
Unfortunately, again, the negatives outweigh the positives. There is
Maybe based on how you use the technological
yes,
equipment.
that's what we are getting to.
Okay.
Today, every other media you open television, you open print, and you find cases of drug abuse.
Drug abuse, yes.
And it's an open secret that drugs are on the increase.
Yes, I recently heard, teacher TFT, I heard recently that in some schools they take their bread and chapati and cakes that are already intoxicated with drugs. So when these young people take these foods, they
Yes.
get high, all that stuff.
Interestingly,
And cookies, I found a school.
cookies, pizza,
Yes,
and
that has marijuana in it.
very much. So that's one other aspect. When we talk of drugs, it could be another topic, very
Yes.
well expounded with the highlighters and pointers. But that's one area. Two, we talk about promiscuity. Gone are the days when children were a responsibility, were at the hands of society. I don't know when you last had a talk with your auntie, with your village elders. Today,
2 months ago.
2 months ago, you are one of the luckiest. Today, our children, and we are talking about teenagers. By the way, my dear brother, our society is structured according to age groups. And when you look at the teenagers we're talking about the age of exploration.
Yes, exploration,
The age that is very
adventure,
exciting.
curiosity.
My son is 10.
Yes.
I'm about to get into the news of my firstborn. But the very many things you can use with this phone,
Yes.
outside technology, but curiosity. He's at the exploration stage.
Yes.
Girls are excited. That's one. I talked about promiscuity.
Yes.
There is this other white elephant in the house today. You have heard about homosexuality and
Yes,
LGBT.
yes, I've heard about it.
Whereas one would urge and say, this is not a common phenomenon. But the pace with which it is coming, my dear brother and the viewers out there, especially parents, we either wake up or we
lose
shall
it.
wake up later. And
We either wake up voluntarily or we shall be forced to wake up.
Yes. There is a range of discipline that is degenerating everywhere. And interestingly, by the way, homosexuality, lesbianism, transgender, and others, we can explore and look at that.
There are very many letters of the alphabet. They are about
Those
to finish them.
whatever.
LGBTQ,
Now,
the I's.
Those ones, by nature of our upbringing,
Yes.
they seem to have been in a corner of a no button, no press. You and I tend to be shy about it. We don't want to talk about it. When I talk about talking about it, condemn. And it is on the increase. It's on the purge.
Yes.
It's on the rampage.
Okay.
So that's one other area.
Yeah, I read an article this week about the same in some of our schools here.
Yes.
There was a teacher who actually sodomized a student, and the whole story came out, and it was ugly.
You see, that is, I don't know. You know, when you talk about a teacher, it's very unfortunate.
Yes.
If at all it's true. But the truth of the matter is, we are sleeping giants
on
as
a time
parents. A time bomb. It's a matter of time.
So technology, drug abuse, promiscuity, homosexuality, any other challenges?
Lack of role models.
Lack of role models.
Yes. And this takes us to the permissive way in which our youth, right now, if you talk to your child or this other you meet, you're most likely going to have a challenge being identified or having someone you know identified as a role model. Society has given us role models whose values, by the way, may not necessarily be in tandem with our beliefs.
Yes.
And we are helpless
Watching.
akimbo.
Yes.
That's one other challenge that is going to become a breeding ground for those issues we have talked about.
Okay.
So that is one other challenge among the very many.
All right.
Yes, please.
Okay. So challenges of technology misuse that comes with things like social media and how it brings up the pornography and all that. Challenges of drug abuse, issues of promiscuity, homosexuality, and lack of role models.
We did not even talk about betting, gambling.
Yeah.
Gambling.
Man U versus Arsenal. Today, one of my fellow staff members made us laugh when he said that a friend said, now that Man U is playing with Manchester United. but Man U is
Manchester United anyway.
Anyway, sports betting.
Now, betting. To the extent that, by the way, people have gone to the extent of betting on competing sheep and goats. You have seen it in those casinos and others.
Yes.
There are no games. Early in the morning, people are pressing their bet as early as 7, as early as 8.
Yeah. Others don't sleep.
On which goat is going to win.
Greatest of all time.
Right now it might be easy sailing, but like you've said, we are on a time bomb. Because that's where crime is going to come from.
All right.
Yes.
So for the sake of time, as the teenagers face all these things that you have talked about, briefly, what would you say is the role of the parents in the upbringing of these teenagers?
Among them is role model.
Be an example.
An example. Live an exemplary lifestyle. Nurture. First of all, there is a general belief. There are those that we tend to know as obvious.
Yes.
If I have my children, I'm providing fees.
Yeah.
They are in school.
They have where they sleep.
They have a comfortable home where they're sleeping.
Yeah.
There is food on their table.
Yes.
Certainly I've made it. My dear.
Have
not
you
yet. If not,
what's lacking?
the mind. You see, these our children. We must prepare for them the future. And the future is not in securing schools and recreation. No. You want to see them become someone. This goes beyond taking them to good schools. This goes beyond sending them to career coaches. No. What is your input as a parent? That's why I talked of nurture.
Yes.
You have got a role to nurture them. On top of provision.
Yes.
Constantly counsel and guide. You see, a parent is the most important stakeholder in their sons, in their daughters' future.
Yes.
There are very many stakeholders in your future. But your father, your mother must have had a hand in becoming who you become.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there is a tendency. We all want money. We are all workaholics now. We are workaholics. After all, they need fees, they need this. We must nurture.
Okay. So, role model,
Yes.
nurture them, give them constant counsel.
Constant counsel and reorient. You see, we should never get tired orienting them, reorienting them, and realigning them towards a set goal. I remember when we were joining senior one, I imagine it could have happened back in your school. We would have that form where we filled career goals and expectations.
Where you were lucky, the school you went to, you had those things.
Yes. But that was expected. Along the way, as far as the first, second month of the term, in your academic journey, the dream is done.
That sounds like what happens to New Year's resolutions. By February, people have forgotten.
No, the 40 days or plus of January elude that. So we must orient
and realign them to the goals.
To their goals.
Okay. So on the side of the parents, role model for the children, for these teenagers, because example is the best someone.
Yes.
Nurture them, constantly give them counsel, and keep reorienting and realigning them.
And never get tired.
Yes. And how about on the side of the teachers? What are some of the roles of the teachers who spend most of the time with these teenagers?
Actually,
because you see,
85%.
Which percent?
85%.
I believe you. Because you see, January to December.
Yes.
Those are 12 months.
12 months.
Out of the 12 months,
Talk about
they
the
are with the teachers
days.
for about 9 months.
Talk about the 365 days.
Yes.
Term one has, I think, 85 plus days.
Yes.
So on an average of 85 days.
Yes.
By 3. How many are remaining for the teacher, for the parent? And most of these other days we are also with them.
Yes.
They are in school.
Yes.
For coaching and other things.
So you see, the teacher
Yes.
has the teenagers for at least 9 months.
9 months.
And the parent has the teenagers for hopefully 3 months, because they could be only 1 month or less.
On paper,
So therefore,
3.
what is
On
the
paper, they are 3
role of
months.
the teachers in raising and bringing up these teenagers?
Yeah, a teacher is supposed to, I talked of a parent being a key stakeholder. When you talk of a key stakeholder, he has a hand. He's actually a pillar. A teacher is yet another key holder. He's another pillar. Actually, like the second pillar.
Yeah.
Of course, God remains supreme, and there's other government and others. But in this particular case, when we have a teacher, first of all, he does exactly what the parent does. Constantly, like he's with you. As long as your relationship is okay. I will get back to that. Nurturing. First of all, is the source of knowledge.
Nurturing.
Yes. Participate in nurturing. Actually, not even participate. They do much of the work than you parents. We shall get to it. The other one is source of knowledge. We are not specific to a particular teacher.
Yes.
But
And not
like they say,
specific to any
because we
knowledge.
are, the nation is. So without them, perhaps your professional knowledge may not apply. So they do that. Let's talk about guiding. We talk about career guidance and counseling.
Yes.
You see, a teacher at school with your daughter, with your son, will know, according to their ability, their potential, than you do. Ours, as parents, will most likely stop at wish.
Okay, I wish my child would do this.
Yes.
I wish my child would become
I don't know how
this.
many times my son Jethro has shifted goalposts.
Yes.
In terms of what he would wish to be. He starts with a pilot, next
Then
time
he becomes a soldier,
he
then
wants to become
be
a
doctor.
soldier, he wants to become a knight, this, that, guard, Kavakas, and then the next day he says, doctors, no, let me fry. So this teacher, because he has evaluated, he has assessed, he has guided, he has interacted,
Yes.
and he has gone deeper into the learner to know actually the attributes, the qualities suitable for a specific calling.
Yes.
And he helps to nurture. That's where the nurturing now comes
Okay.
in. Yes.
So nurturing being a source of knowledge and also giving guidance, including career guidance.
Yes, career
so
guidance.
when you look at these roles that you have talked about, the parent,
Of course,
being
he's
a role
also
model,
responsible and exemplary. He gives an exemplary life. Of all the teachers you go through, whose hands you go through, I don't know whether there can ever be a week when you've not made a mention of a particular teacher under whose hands you went through.
Yeah, that we can be there, but there may not be many in succession.
And that's a teacher.
Even
we are
today I
talking
talked about 3 teachers. I was carrying out a training for some staff of the
Yes.
hospital, and I gave them examples of 3 of my teachers and what they did as leaders.
Exactly. As leaders, as exemplary fellows.
And one of them,
role
I made a
models.
reference in a positive sense. 2, it was in a negative light.
Interestingly, I don't have one in a negative sense. I'm one of the luckiest.
Very lucky.
Yeah,
so
and-
back to what we were looking at here, that now the parents, they are supposed to be role models, nurture, constant counsel, and reorient the,
Yes,
the
realign
teenagers,
their
realign
sons
them.
and daughters.
While the teachers are also role modeling, they are nurturing, but they are also adding the sense of career guidance and giving knowledge.
Yes, for inspiration.
So, when you look at these roles, what are some of the indicators of whether these roles are being played or not? How do we know that the teachers and the parents are doing this or they are not doing it?
The Bible is clear. We shall know them by their fruits. Let's look at the fruits.
Let's
out
look
there.
at what is happening.
Actually, someone defined the school and said you can define the school by their products.
Okay?
So when you go on the streets, in our offices, given what we have looked at as roles
Yes.
and responsibilities, do you see an impact there? Is it minimal? Is it sketchy? Or is it satisfying? You may draw the answer from this sounds it's a rhetorical one.
When we see the kind of people that we have on our streets, when we see the kind of human beings in our offices, when we see the kind of people we have that we travel with on aeroplanes and in vehicles on when we look at the people we have in churches and mosques, when we see the quality of the human capital, when we look at all those people, do we feel that the parents and the teachers are playing their roles? Award-winning leadership consultant, global speaker and author, the CEO of Inspired Leaders International, and the provincial president of the Fathers Union. Today we are talking about the role of parents and teachers in teenage upbringing. And in studio with me is none other than teacher TFT, my brother Fred, who is here sharing with us as a parent but also as a teacher. And we have looked at the challenges that our teenagers are going through. Issues to do with technology, drug abuse, promiscuity, homosexuality, and so on and so forth. We have seen the role of the parents. Things to do with role modeling, nurturing, constant counseling, and reorienting or realigning them to the right direction of their life towards the destiny that they were created to have. We have also seen the role of the teachers, on the other hand, who equally have to do counseling, who have to do role modeling, who have to do nurturing, but they also have to add career guidance and being a source of critical knowledge that can mold these young people, the teenagers, into responsible citizens and leaders. Now, Teacher TFT, Teacher
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
when you look at the roles and responsibilities of both the parents and the teachers, you realize there is what we used to call in mathematics the intersection of sets. For example, both of them are supposed to be role models.
Yes.
Both of them are supposed to nurture. Both of them are supposed to give counsel. to counsel, to advise, to mentor.
To inspire.
So to inspire, isn't it therefore logical that the parents and the teachers, should actually partner in raising the teenagers?
Certainly, yes.
Okay, and if that's so, how should they practically do it? How should parents and teachers partner together to raise our teenagers?
Thank you very much, brother.
Welcome.
First of all, I talked of a rhetoric. Each one of us, dear viewers and fellow parents, certainly has an answer to what we are discussing in as far as impacting and doing what is expected of us. The $1 million question, however, is how perfect are we doing it? What is our relationship with parents, we as teachers, and the other way around?
Yes.
By the way, did you know that there are teachers, some of us parents never get to know our teachers?
The teachers of our children.
Yes.
Yes.
You see, when we talk of teachers,
especially as the fathers.
yes, it goes beyond the school. There must be that personal touch. Why? We have talked of a teacher as a co-mentor. We have talked of a source of knowledge. The question is, do you know who is giving knowledge to your child? Do you know what kind of
a
knowledge?
person that
I don't want
he
to go
is?
to the other example you gave. I don't know.
But it's a reality. And it's happening.
Yes, that is a case
Because
to
like that one, that's a
That's
teacher
a
of
case
that
to
young
order.
boy, and he is the one sodomizing the young boy. So that's how he is mentoring the boy. That's how he is counseling the boy.
And,
that's how he's advising the boy.
And when you look at following that particular story and others,
Yes.
the parent comes at the end. That's why I talked
Exactly.
about we shall either wake up or we shall wake up.
We shall be forced to wake up.
That is it. So the Bible talks, we have already looked at challenges. We've looked at the likely implications of our less involvement. The more we don't get there, such happens. But then, we don't know them.
Yes.
So the first step should be know who teaches your child. Apart from knowing my son goes to Exodus Seed Secondary School, with due respect, I'm just using an example.
Yes.
As a responsible parent who has paid fees, do you know the person who teaches your children?
Do you know the teacher who is
Do you know
raising
them?
your children?
We don't. If you don't, then how sustainable is your goal? That goal you started with, you built with your son, you developed. How sustainable is that? Is your son, is your daughter still on track? Certainly not. You're not so sure.
Yeah.
So we leave to whoever it may concern.
Okay, so part of this partnership, number one, is to
Is
have mutual
identify.
knowledge of each
Yes.
other. The parent
Identify
should know which teacher is teaching
their
his
son.
or her children,
Yes.
and also the teacher should get interested in who the parents of these children in class are.
You may not necessarily task a teacher.
Okay,
Why say so? We have, let's imagine a school of 80 students, or pupils in school. It should
Actually,
not
in a
be
class
in
of
a
80.
stream. It cannot be teacher Sam
yes,
to look for the
The
parent
parents
of
of-
Tumusiime, the parent of so and so.
yes.
No,
The parent should
must
rather
be
know.
the parent to take the initiative because you brought this child. Then once you have known and identified, keep in touch. Keep track. Unfortunately today, we are reactionary.
Yes.
We are not proactive as
We are
in parenting. Thank God the new curriculum is coming in, but you'll have cases where parents are only interested in the progress
Yes.
of their sons and daughters from level 1 to level 2.
The academic aspect.
That is it.
How
But the
many
moral
marks they are
part,
getting.
The moral part shapes it.
Yes.
So once you have identified, keep in touch.
Is that what in education terminologies we call the 3 domains of learning?
Yes.
That there should be, there is
The
the
head,
cognitive domain,
yes.
the psychomotor domain,
Psychomotor, yes.
and the affective domain.
Affective.
The head, the hand, and the heart. So you should not only be
Focus
interested
on the head.
as a parent, how the child is memorizing theories and approaches and forestry in British Columbia and fishing in Peru and Canadian prairies and the Tennessee Valley Authority of 1933, but should also be concerned about the skills they are getting and who they are becoming by virtue of their values.
Mostly that.
Yes.
Let me tell you this open secret. Our sons, and daughters, many of them have got two faces.
Our children have
I
two
will
faces.
repeat it. Our children, some of them have two faces.
One face.
There is a face for mommy and daddy, the
At
benefactors at home. And then there is a face for school. This explains the very many conflicting engagements that school administrators and teachers would always have when Samuel Wakutana is actually called at school to discuss the academic progress of their sons or to discuss the discipline. You will be shocked to learn that your son actually missed morning prep. You know? Why? At home he
wakes up at 3 to read and you say, wow, my son wakes
That's
up
why I
early.
thought of reactive and proactive. So unless we track that,
we keep in touch
we
with
get
the teachers.
back to there. You have identified. You have known who teaches. You have known what they teach. What's hard with keeping in touch? How often do you communicate to your son, your teacher, your daughter's teacher?
You just mentioned something in passing, but I don't want us to lose it.
Yes,
that you've known what they teach. Are you sure we parents are even interested in what our children are learning?
As long as you've
Do we
got a
even check
report.
their homework? Do we check
As
their
long
books?
as you've got a report.
As long as there is a report.
Yes, and to us we are satisfied. But
So
there is
maybe
much
that's
deeper
another
than
key
that.
point. Get interested in what
Get
they are
interested
learning.
in what their son, your daughter is learning. Correspond. Because we've talked about them, teachers, being key stakeholders. They are pillars. You want them to keep inspiring, but you are not there. Once in a while, the term is now starting. That's when the communication will be on. Once you have your children back home, the relationship between yourself and the teacher is cut off or suspended.
Yeah, because some teachers tell us to stay professional. So if it is a holiday, don't call me, don't talk with me. Then
I'm not necessarily saying call them, but once in a while, like a message would not be an issue. By the way, there is a lot of pressure. You can get time to get what your child does, or the real child of yours, during a time like this. He has had time to rest also.
Yes.
But take a message, good morning, so and so. Would not cost you a lot.
Yeah.
Those who can, have a cup of tea.
Tonight I'm sending them a good night message.
You see? So, communicate, liaise, and correspond.
Yes.
And more so, keep in touch. Keep in touch. It does not cost. And then the most important one, respect them. I talked about the two faces. If you went into these courts, interestingly, there are even courts of law handling cases of school versus parent. Perhaps your child has been discontinued. But before we get there, and because of the two faces I've talked about, they call you, your son, your daughter is this. You can't believe it.
Yeah. You actually go and abuse the teachers and say they are harassing your child.
Even if a teacher is behaving unprofessionally, before your child, kindly talk nicely. Attitude determines attitude.
Yeah.
How far this child can go in comprehending a particular concept, a particular subject, even if we were to go for the academic part, will be influenced by the attitude. How about a situation where my brother Sam, a parent, is rubbishing, is blasting me?
Yeah.
You know?
I even saw a parent recently in a video clip that was making rounds online. A parent went to school with a panga looking for a teacher to cut him just because the child came home and said the teacher removed the pen from the son.
You can imagine. Now, I don't know how that is going to help a child. Because you are sowing seeds of discontent, disrespect.
Yeah.
Actually, this teacher cannot have the authority, cannot have the moral authority to impact, to teach. Why? The child already looks at this. And you know, why this must be the most important point to note. Your social status, we thank God of it, may not necessarily be in the same match with the teachers. Okay? So, you imposing it on the, having it at the extreme. Let me give you one particular example. We had, in my formative years of teaching we had a case where would have students, for uniformity, for discipline and appearance, you must shave your hair to this level.
Yes.
So this particular parent brings a son, opening day of the school. They say, no, we cannot accept this kind of hair.
Go and change the hairstyle.
What does hair have to do with this performance? And you are challenging teachers. You get the point?
Yeah. I even saw a politician this week who was busy lambasting a head teacher in front of everybody.
Exactly.
I felt that was insensitivity.
And you know, there is that sense of entitlement. The moment we position that at the front, we lose it all.
Yeah.
We lose it all
But
because
then, Teacher Fred,
Yes,
all the points you've so far talked about, they are only focusing on the parent and what he should
coming
do.
to the teacher.
We better do that quickly. We are about to round up.
First of all,
it sounds like the whole work is only on the teacher, yet we are calling it a partnership.
Yes, on the parent.
Yet we are calling it a partnership. We are saying it's a relationship.
You see,
so the parent should know the teacher. The parent should keep in touch with the teacher. The parent should get interested in what the teacher is teaching. The parent should respect the teacher. But what should the teacher do vis-a-vis the parent?
First of all, be available.
Aha.
You see,
it was one-sided.
Yes, and we are coming. Be available. The moment you are available, you see, there is an angle that these parents are likely to take, looking for you. Are you available? Be inspired and motivated to like and love what you are meant to do. We have talked about their responsibilities. This is just paper. Have it in your heart that I'm meant for this. Actually, when I talk of that, education and teaching so far is the only profession where consultation is for free.
No, we pay school fees, teacher TFT. It's not for free.
I beg to continue and explain to you. You pay for a service.
Yes.
I'm talking about
and that
consultation.
Service includes the consultation with the teacher.
When you go to the doctor, you will pay consultation fee, and then you go for treatment. Let me get back to the point. So, so on top of being available, show commitment. Okay? Show commitment for your work.
Yeah. So in short, really, we realize that both the parent and the teacher are doing great work together to raise the teenager, and so it is very logical that they should partner. They should know that they are doing this together. It is a relationship. Okay.
For teaching, why I talk of that, it goes beyond. It's a calling.
It's a vocation, really.
It's a vocation.
More than just
and because of that, irrespective of whatever support you are given, many of the teachers are what we call TVAs. Teacher in various schools.
Teacher in various schools, TVSs.
Yes. The knowledge vendors. Yes.
The moonlighters.
Moonlighters hip-hopping here and there. But even then, where they are going, they are Ugandans. They are our children. So, wherever you go, be exemplary, be available.
All right.
And committed.
So, particularly, what should a father, now let's talk about the father particularly, what should a father pay attention to as he raises his teenagers, as we almost come to the close of this program?
Thank you very much. The Bible, Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 15. Arrest for me the small foxes. The foxes that destroy the vines when they are in bloom. We have talked, the foxes. When you talk, God is it small foxes. These must be identified. And in the context of our discussion, we are talking about those seemingly minute and small mistakes. So a father must pay keen attention to what the child does. Before we even go to school and interest, pay attention to how your child learns these home chores and be available. Pay attention. I know this has been a very long holiday. Much 80% of our children are RCs, remote controllers. Wake up early in the morning, sit there. After everything on, sit there, watch TV. Pick interest, particularly in what they are watching. Those who watch cartoons, you'll be shocked to learn that even those over 13, some of them are still stuck on cartoon networks and these associated movies. So pay keen attention. Now, for the teens, we are excited giving them these gadgets.
Not some of us.
We are excited because the other day I think we are waiting to see how it will be implemented. The ministry is suggesting the use of laptops, are they laptops or phones and tablets to schools. Squarely, we must face this. This phone you are giving, be open to your child. Many times we don't get opportunities to have our fathers engaged. So as a father, create time for your children. Create time. As early as 3, you may never get punished for raising an irresponsible child, but certainly you will be punished. Do I repeat it?
Please, for clarity.
Today you may not get punished. Tomorrow you will be.
Okay, punished. For neglecting your role as a father.
You remember Eli in the Bible? He got punished.
For his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, who were crooks.
They were crooks. So, let's create time.
Okay.
Pay keen interest. These phones, when you give the teens, explain to them. This takes me to the other point. Have a talk. We have responsibilities, granted. Can you spare time in your day-to-day schedule and say, okay, every Tuesday is daddy's talk with the girls? Have time and be open. Be frank. This elephant in the house, to be precise, attack it.
Okay.
We were able to defeat COVID because from all corners we talked about it. Let's create awareness. Okay? Right. Create awareness and the rest will be history.
Okay. So the father should pay attention to what the child does, to what the child is learning, to what they are watching, and create time for them for conversation.
And to wrap it up on the father, pray for your children.
Okay.
My friend, Brigadier Felix Kraije, tells us that any man, worthy his position, should pray, must pray for his children right from the time of conception. Fetus. Because that's where blessings come from.
Okay.
And those that have prayed for their children, they have not gone wrong.
All right.
Yes, please.
So, as we come to the close of this, as a teacher, you are a teacher, you've taught for more than a decade in more than 4 schools. What changes, maybe give me 1 or 2 top changes that you think schools need to go and put in place in order to make schools safer places for our teenagers to learn?
In view of the contemporary, create a talk environment, an open environment.
An open environment.
Yes. Create an open environment. Don't keep information to yourself. Create and involve parents.
Involve parents.
Yes. Create a platform where individual parents can be engaged. And once that is done, have God. Because he's at the start and he should be at the crowning. Yes.
All right, so have an open, all schools have
an enabling environment for these
Yes.
issues to be handled.
Okay, an open environment, involve the parents and embrace godliness.
Yes.
So, what would you say is your final message, especially to families that have teenagers and have been watching us today?
Thank you very much, brother.
Look in that camera and address the families with teenagers as we end this program.
My dear colleague parents, like I've been saying, there is a very big white elephant in our house. In view of what is happening, I challenge you to create time for your children. Be frank, and above all, pray with them. After that is done, we shall achieve that target. We shall get the fruits of our labor while we go out to work every day. Work minus time for our children may not give us the desired results. Yes, please.
Great, thank you very much, Fred. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you have heard, the children are not just raised by the parents. They are also raised by the teachers. It is a partnership. The teenagers that we have are facing different challenges around technology, promiscuity, homosexuality, lack of role models, drug abuse, sports betting, to mention but a few. As parents, we have a role to role model for them, to nurture them up, and to ensure that we constantly give them counsel while we are reorienting them and realigning them to the kind of life that they should be living. And you, as a teacher, you have a critical role to also be a role model, to have guidance, to give guidance, to be a source of knowledge, and also to participate in nurturing these children. And we have realized that if this is going to happen, there has to be a partnership between the parent and the teacher. And how that has to happen, as a parent, from today onwards, get involved. Get to know who is teaching your children, what kind of person they are, that teacher, and what they are teaching them. Respect them, and for you as a teacher, be available. Answer questions from the parents. It is a partnership. We are raising these children together. And particularly for you as a father, that you have to ensure that these teenagers, you know what the child does, you know what the child has been learning, you know what the child is watching, create time for them and pray for them as the priest of the home.
Yes.
And then you, the schools, create an open environment where both parents and teachers can work together. Involve the parents in all these pedagogical approaches and challenges and things that are happening in the schools as you continue to embrace godliness. My brothers and my sisters, it is easier to raise a child than it is to wait and mend or repair a broken man. It is easier to raise our children. It is easier to mentor our teenagers than neglect them, abandon them, leave them, and then wait for when they are adults and we take them for retreats to mend them when they are already broken, yet we could have saved the whole generation when they were still young. Let us hold hands together. Parents, teachers, churches, government, communities, neighborhoods, and we raise our teenagers to be responsible men and women who will be great leaders in our nation and beyond. This has been the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana. Go and bring up your teenager in a way that will make you proud tomorrow.